This is a Meet Your Council Member reading for Sacred Heart. I have 3 crystals with me. Okay, so I'm going to start by surrounding us in some protective space with my peacock ore. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you these crystals here. So I have my peacock ore, like I said. So this has to do with just chakras, all of the chakras, because you can see all of the different color variations that it has. So it's not associated with one chakra in particular. And so it really has to do with clearing and maintaining all of them. Then I have my sunstone here. So the sunstone is a solar plexus stone specifically. And actually I was playing solar plexus meditation music when I was visualizing my protective space in the room before I began the reading. So solar plexus is definitely a chakra that's coming up for this reading. And then I have my obsidian here. So obsidian has a lot to do with clearing your energy and psychic protection in general. So the solar plexus, it's kind of like a small sun when you think about it. In comparison to the other chakras, it tends to actually charge the other chakras. When it's working optimally, then it produces enough energy that it helps to give energy to all of the chakras. So it's definitely a really important center. It helps with a lot of things. It's empowerment. It's one of the lower chakras, so it's already starting to help with things like manifestation, grounding. Even though it's obviously not specifically for grounding. The root chakra is more specifically for grounding, but being that it is one of the lower ones, it's already kind of starting that process. It kind of begins this transition where you have these upper chakras up here, you have the heart and what it's desiring to manifest, you have things that are coming through from your guides or your third eye or just visions that you're holding, things that you're mentally thinking about as well that you want to create or manifest. And it's this solar plexus that starts taking that and beginning the actual manifestation process. So there's a lot of masculine energy with the solar plexus. There's a lot of ambition, empowerment, and also kind of general physical vitality, health, things like that. So this is a really important chakra when it comes to psychic protection as well. If you have something that's trying to drain you of energy, this is a really good chakra to maintain and it feels like this is a chakra for you to really work on. This thing is definitely still there. I definitely still feel it around you, but I'm also feeling other guides that are kind of near you, which is a good thing. So your guides are coming in a bit closer, and so I feel like this energy is kind of like struggling a bit more, I want to say. And then also there's a feeling of here at the back of the neck. So this area here is actually a really big psychic center. Kind of all along the face here, you have your third eye, you have your crown chakra, but then your ears, your mouth, your eyes, even the sides of your face, this whole kind of area here with the face. There are a lot of channels that guides can connect to in this area, because when we think of our physical body, just kind of like how the 7 chakras, they are associated with the physical body. That's also the reason why I don't really go by the standard 7, because obviously we're spiritual beings, and so we have, I think of it as having way more than 7 chakras. We basically have an unlimited amount, however many we might possibly need, whatever they might possibly be for. I've even had coming through in different readings like chakras were being created and or moved and all types of things. But when you think in terms of the physical body, this is an area where we hear and we receive all different types of physical information with our eyes, our nose, our ears. So when you think of it in those terms, you can see why there would also be reflections with our energy bodies as well. So there are a lot of channels here that guides can use and other things can use too, to send us things, even when we're picking up on other people, when we're feeling their energies. A lot of it is coming through these areas here, these sort of portals, gateways, channels, whatever you want to call them. And then this back here, right at the back of the neck here, this is very large sort of portal or channel, a really large psychic center. It's not exactly a chakra, like I'm sure there are chakras back in there, but this, the center itself, it's like a portal for information. So it's kind of, you have all these smaller ones here, and they're connected to this larger one here at the back. And I'm bringing this up because I'm feeling almost like this is an area here where this incubus kind of entity, this is where it likes to take energy, is what it's feeling like. And again, though, it feels like the solar plexus, oddly enough, would be able to kind of fortify this area here. But again, I already feel like it's struggling more so. But this is feeling this is kind of feeling like you've raised your vibration more. Um, and so you have guides around you more. There's even something coming in, almost like a feeling of like diet. And it feels like even like as you're eating cleaner, even as you eat cleaner and you're aware of what you're putting in your body, even that lifts your vibration or it lowers your vibration. So even that can, what you're feeding off of can cause you to be almost fed off of or not fed off of. But I feel like it's mainly about targeting weaker areas. Um, when it comes to your energy field, your chakras, it feels like there are some weaker energies or weaker areas rather. And even though this is like a totally different area than those areas, it feels like that really contributes. And it feels like if you were to close those places off, if you were to charge them up properly where they had a lot of energy, they would automatically kind of target this area. But it does feel like, especially the solar plexus. The heart chakra, too, though, I feel like the heart chakra as well. This definitely feels like a stronger center for you. So it can definitely help to charge and maintain other chakras for you in your case. Even though in general, I wouldn't say the heart chakra, is a small sun and it charges the other ones, like I would say about the solar plexus, more in general with everybody. So this feels more like more specifically with you. If you have just individually, you have one really strong chakra or you have a few, then those chakras are going to kind of magnify the others. They're going to charge the others and sort of help the others. So it's almost like the stronger areas can almost help the sort of weaker areas in a sense, or just the ones that, not exactly weaker, but just obviously in our lifetimes, there are certain areas that we explore more than others. Some people are better at math, some people are better at art, or whatever the heck. So it's like the ones that need to be used more and they're stronger in a sense can kind of aid the others and kind of close off certain areas or solidify certain areas that kind of need more strength in a sense, or yeah, need to be kind of fortified more, you could say it as. So I'm definitely feeling some kind of angelic energies around you, but I don't want to say that they're strictly angelic because they more feel like a mix of something else. It could be like a different being type that's on an angelic vibration. So I would still call them angelic, or they can even choose to come in more strictly with that vibration during a reading. I've had that happen where, for instance, I'll do one reading with a person and a guide will come in as an angel, and then in another reading, a guide will come in as a Pleiadian, and then I'll realize, oh, this is the same guide that I was picking up on, and they're sort of identifying with two different things for whatever's needed during the reading. And it's because they can, because they're both of those things. They're on that vibration, but they're this other being type. There are definitely some sort of kind of dark feminine energies as well, like kind of night. kind of energies around you as well, but they're not all feminine in the sense that they are female. And this main guide that I'm picking up on is definitely male. And your guides are all kind of calm, a little bit more reserved. They're not like kind of bubbly or outgoing. They're not feeling super energetic in that way. They feel a little bit more grounded, calming. But you are going to have a much easier time connecting to all of this psychic stuff once this one energy is cleared. And I know that just based off of connecting to your guides and delivering the information, because there's like this constant thing trying to interfere the entire time. And it's odd because it doesn't even, I think I mentioned this in the last reading, it doesn't even feel like that serious of an entity. It doesn't feel, for instance, like it doesn't feel like it's been with you for a lot of lifetimes. It doesn't feel like it's like attached to you or something. It just feels like this thing that's kind of near you and feeding off of you. Um, especially when you're, like, I don't feel like, especially now, I would say, now at this point, I can say this accurately. I don't feel like it's just kind of taking energy at any point that it wants to. Um, and I actually feel like that's part of the reason that it's trying to interfere with your guides and with the reading, because it kind of, like I said earlier, there's a bit more of a struggle for it now. It feels almost like it's constantly being sort of attacked by something, or something is trying to sort of thwart what it wants to do, which is just gain some energy. It's not like some super malicious thing or something. It's pretty simple the way it feels. It's just a kind of lower, it is definitely lower and negative. I'm not saying it's happy or positive, but I'm just saying, like, it doesn't have some like Hitler intention, you know. It's just sort of standard. I want food. I am negative. It's pretty easy to figure out this entity. And the only reason that it feels like it can do that with you, it feels like, again, this isn't coming from a lifetime or something. It's not attached to you for any reason specifically. It just feels like you are very psychic. You were more open, and there's this almost sort of, you have to almost think of it like a gravitational kind of pull in a sense. Sometimes I'll call it like a light or something. There are definitely some, like, I want to say night kind of energies with you, and there's this more kind of grounded feeling. So I almost have to think of it almost like a gravitational kind of calling in a sense, right? But every person who's very sensitive like that, they can be a little bit more obvious, I would say, in the sort of spiritual world. So it feels like that's really the only reason that this thing is around you, that it was attracted to you at all. It doesn't feel like, doesn't really feel like there's any specific reason other than that. Just You were a little too open and a little too psychic and sensitive to things, but obviously that's a good thing. For your kind of path, you can never have too much of that, obviously. Okay, so which brings them to the next thing, which would be uh, opening that more. Okay. So the reason they haven't gone into that so much yet and talked about that too much yet is because they don't want you to be too open. They don't want you to attract other things to yourself. So quieting your mind is good. And I know you talked about meditation in your email, but there is definitely a sense of you having a kind of quieter mind than a lot of people would. And even the guides around you are kind of reflecting that. They're kind of, I want to say, like kind of chill. They're grounded. They're secure. Whereas some people, I'll read them and they'll have a super like bubbly, outgoing, high kind of guide or a Pleiadian or, you know, some kind of very bright, positive, outgoing, bursting kind of light being. So this is still extremely positive. It's just a different tone, I would say, to their energy, their personality, their vibration, and it's what you need, and it's reflecting that, and it's also reflecting positive points to your own vibration and the way that you feel, and also the way that it feels to them. So you kind of attracted the guides that are not only necessary for you to help you complete certain things, but they just mesh with you. Now, obviously, attracted before this lifetime, because these are guides that had contracted with you for your lifetime already. But the point is that you're very in sync with them. So a lot of their traits are your traits as well. So that's what they're kind of concerned with. Okay, so I don't really feel like I can get a name yet. I could, but I don't really feel to push that because I already feel like I'm getting a headache. And I also don't feel like that's really necessary for some reason, but this male guide is definitely coming in very strongly. I wouldn't say that this is a council member though. I would say that this is your primary guide, one of them. So most people, nearly everyone actually that I've read, with very few exceptions, has two primary guides. It's always one male, one female. And the female is not really coming up right now, but again, I feel almost like this masculine energy needs to come through more right now. It feels very protective. Whereas the female energy, the feeling with that, even though I'm not really feeling her quite yet, a little, but more kind of in the background. But the feeling is that this other primary guide is going to help you more with psychic things, psychic development. So that's also the reason why she's not coming through as much right now, because they're more focusing on this idea of clearing, protection, getting grounded, and again, this idea of the solar plexus, specifically the solar plexus. I don't feel like Usually the council member is a master guide. I don't really feel like meeting your master guide is just on the agenda right now. It doesn't really feel like it's that, um, doesn't feel like it's on the top of your guides list. It just doesn't feel necessary right now. Um, I'm not even sure exactly when that guide will step up in full force because they tend to, they're almost kind of triggered by certain things like, okay, now I need to step in and I need to help her learn this specific thing. So these guides are working really well together. These two primary guides, it feels like this masculine energy, he's more focused on this kind of general protection, and he's also sort of generally focused as well. He also does have a spiritual slant, and he definitely has a lot of night energies, like I said. Um, but just kind of general protection, uplifting you. Because the primary guides, they're more general than specific. And then when you have other guides, it's almost like you have guides on a team, and you have the two that are kind of helping you with sort of everything, and then you have the others that are a little bit more specific. And having a primary guide who is really, really specifically helping you with psychic stuff. And you have these two where this one is like, okay, I'm going to protect you. I'm going to block things in your energy field. And then this other guide can come up and she can help you with all these psychic things once I've closed you off really well and helped you learn how to do that better yourself. Because obviously they cannot do everything. There are definitely some things that they can't do or that they can't protect us from as well. And then also, obviously, we have lessons and things to learn. But just the fact that you have these two guides, they are helping you with general things, the female guide as well. And they are your primary and in a sense general guides. But the fact that they are still so slanted toward psychic development and psychic protection and spiritual things like this, and this doesn't feel temporary. It feels like what they are generally are going to be helping you with throughout your lifetime. This just again shows, well, the slant of your own lifetime and what you're going to be doing and what kind of the theme is, or they're almost saying like category, almost like the category that they could sort of place certain kind of they will almost are saying like your primary sort of role in a sense. If they were going to place it in a category, it would be like a spiritual healer, psychic, kind of one of those categories. So this just really reflects that and shows that how primary and central that is for you and for your purpose. Otherwise, you wouldn't have primary guides like that. A lot of people do have a secondary guide. I don't really want to say secondary because it's still a main guide on their team. But a specific guide that's assigned to help them with psychic awareness and things like that. Not everybody has one of those. But in your case, it's more the primary guide. But really the first step is just really, really closing off, solidifying certain, in a sense, weaker or more open areas of your energy in like chakra centers, making sure that they're maintained properly. You don't want to close them all the way, but you definitely don't want them to be too open, especially you. And again, the solar plexus, because it feels like a lot of these problems will just kind of go kapoof when you, I don't know, why I'm saying kapoof, but that's how it's coming in. um, I never say kapoof, but anyway, wow, that was distracting. I don't know what I'm saying now. A lot of those problems will go away, just vanish or disappear. Okay, that's what you're trying to get at. When the solar plexus is really mastered, like you know how to maintain it well. That's what they mean by mastered. They mean like you know what you're doing when it comes to fortifying that area. And they're also saying that this is part of your growth, but it also feels like your psychic gifts are just gonna automatically, in a sense, be kind of triggered by that. They're automatically going to kind of enhance more because it's really more just about them opening up more and feeling free to be able to open up more, which they can't do quite yet at this point. Okay, so that is all that your guides have to say for this reading. So thank you so much for allowing me to do this reading for you. As always, I truly hope that it benefits you. Namaste.